So Joseph, we're here talking about a lot of things. I want to talk to you about music, because it always comes back to the music, stupid, right?
Sure, yeah.
I'm not calling you stupid.
Do
you understand the concept?
I do.
It's the music, stupid.
Yeah.
Joseph Maslov, what music have you been listening to lately?
Elise and I have a Spotify account. I'm not a huge fan of Spotify as a service, so it's even worse where, I will use Spotify sometimes, but I actually use YouTube way more than I use Spotify to listen to music.
Got it. Do you put on playlists, or do you have YouTube Premium without commercials?
I do.
In 2 miles, keep left towards Postbow.
Keep left.
Hey Siri, stop navigation. I don't think it heard me. Okay, never mind.
Interesting. I wonder if it doesn't listen to you.
That's because I'm not plugged in. I unplugged the feed.
Okay.
So YouTube, yeah, okay. And do you discover new things on YouTube?
So I like YouTube because, oddly enough, it brings back a little bit more of the kind of friend or community created playlists. Because I know that Spotify has a playlist system, or like a community playlist system, I believe. But the Spotify UI, something about the way it's laid out just doesn't make any sense to me. I've been listening to, I've been specifically, when I was younger, would listen to the 90s era of They Might Be Giants, like Flood and
the year you were born.
And Make Car, and They Got Lost. But I've actually been listening to Severe Tire Damage, Dr. Worm, and then...
Well, you and I, one of the first shows we ever saw live together at the Fillmore was They Might Be Giants. And I remember that same day, I think, Leo Laporte's Tech TV over when it was part of CNET, I guess.
ZDTV.
That's right. We...
Pre-G4.
Yes, you know that stuff better than I do. But we saw They Might Be Giants play on the set there across the street from my office. And there was maybe a dozen chairs, so it wasn't a big audience. But we got to see them.
That was really cool.
In a very small, intimate setting.
Special.
Before we saw them at the Fillmore that night, I think.
The album with Anna Ing and Cowtown.
Lincoln.
Yes. So I've been listening to those albums almost.
That's the first album I got into.
Lincoln?
Is that their first album?
No, their first album is just They Might Be Giants.
And do you know they used to have a thing, and they were out of Brooklyn.
The Dial-A-Song.
My friend Jazz Shit Brooks turned me on to Dial-A-Song.
They have. I went on
way before the internet.
I went on their site recently, and they have Dial-A-Song as a menu item.
Nice.
But the page is broken. So I'm so curious what the most recent version of Dial-A-Song is supposed to be. I know Dial-A-Song was discontinued after a while.
Oh God, yeah.
But I'm curious why it's still up on their site. You know, we're both I think obsessive mavens in our respective craft, and for me, music is I picked up so much through you, but for me it's a lot more passive. So while I'm always listening to music, I don't have it kind of.
It's not in the forefront.
It's not in the forefront of my brain. So
fair enough.
I think it's been They Might Be Giants, and then it's actually been a lot of, and not even I love him so much, but for some reason, Jamiroquai has just that album.
So there's nothing new really you're into, or you're not that you can share.
That's what's so weird.
That's fine. It's not a criticism. I'm just curious.
And I don't take it as a criticism. I think I'm surprised. You know, I'm much more of a video game maven, where I am plugged into a number of outlets where I'm not so into the big AAA stuff, but I really love the really weird small games, like gay developer named Robert Yang, and he's famous for making a game called Cobra Club, which is a game about, it's a really small game that he made on his own, the gay culture of sending dick pics. And it all takes place...
I don't think that's just a gay culture thing.
No.
Not that I would know.
No, but it is a back and forth, and it's about internet privacy. But it's really fun because
this is definitely rated.
Yeah.
For kids.
But I bring him up only because I just got an email because I realized I'm still subscribed to him on an independent game service called Itch.io, and the newest game he released is Don't Raid Cuomo, and it's a game about Cuomo running for New York mayor again, and the game is just about don't fucking put him anywhere on your ballot, and I love that, but I don't have a version of that for music, right? Like I have people I know who are listening to music, and so for me, I don't have any kind of outlet where I'm tuned into new creative artists. Like I think the newest artist I listen to is King Gizzard, and
Australian.
Yeah, and
do you like him?
Oh yeah, I love them.
Kind of psychedelic.
Yeah, and their albums are different.
They put out like an album every other fucking week.
Yeah.
But at least the live ones. They allow people to press apparently live recordings of them. I think they put more records out than even Neil Young, who puts out a lot. Do you remember how I used to brainwash you in the car in terms of music?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember any of the artists that I would brainwash you into listening to, or not that you would necessarily like them? Are there any that you remember that you actually latched onto you liked, and others that you just got so turned off because I would just keep playing them?
Obviously, I think They Might Be Giants and Radiohead were two that...
Kid A.
Yeah. I think those, Kid A specifically, but Radiohead in general, I think those two were ones that I would listen to with you in the car ad nauseum and like really fell in love with.
Do you remember Joanna Newsom?
I do. I love Joanna Newsom. Yeah, she's great.
Ease.
I think on the other end of the spectrum, when you talk about music I used to play for you that I hated at the time and pushed back on, was Talking Heads, and I've completely 180'd since then. I love David Byrne.
That's good that you reminded me, because I remember there were two bands, and I always got confused. Of the two bands, I remember you liking one and not liking the other, or maybe disliking both.
And Devo.
No, well, I was thinking of the Smiths and Talking Heads.
Oh, I never 180 on the Smiths. I'm still just not a Smiths fan.
Okay, so Talking Heads you got into. Okay.
Yeah, Talking Heads I love.
Do you like Devo?
I love Devo. The Smiths is exactly how I remember them, and no thank you, I'm good. The
Heaven
Smiths,
knows I'm miserable now.
The Smiths are... I would say that The Cure is what I would want the Smiths to be, but we have The Cure, so I don't need the Smiths.
So you like The Cure?
I love The Cure. Yeah. It's like.
So basically, you're not into any new music.
Stay in the left 2 lanes.
I guess. Okay. Four High Heels is a musician, an experimental musician, but also a YouTuber. He's a games YouTuber. You know, that's weird. The only two like new musicians that I could name off the top of my head are also YouTubers.
Well, that's how, without even a label, you can get known and get your work out.
Are you familiar with Red Vox?
Red Vox?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I don't think.
Okay.
You know about Record Store Day?
I know about Record Store Day. Yeah, it's like free comic book day.
Yeah, exactly. Is there a comic book version of it?
Yes.
There is. Okay. Do you remember? Now I have a box set that's unopened that I bought for you on a Record Store Day about 5 years ago. Do you remember that?
Is it the Gorillas?
The Gorillas.
Yeah.
It's not open. It's at my house. You don't have a turntable, do you?
Unfortunately, we do not. No.
Well, I always tell people when I have people say, "Oh God, it's cool of seeing all your vinyl. I think I want to get into it." I usually tell people don't. It's a wormhole, expense, and everything else. Although, I don't. Would you have time even to play records and stuff? Because it sounds like the way you listen to music. After 15 minutes, you got to flip the friggin' record, and it's not where you are really. It would get in the way, wouldn't it? Or would it be more of a relaxing thing once in a while?
It would be a more relaxing thing. I think
because it's not passive listening.
No, you're right. Because I think the difficulty is the initial setup. Where would I put it? Like, having an album collection, even games, right?
You guys have a lot of games.
I have a lot of games, but to me right now, I don't have any games that I have physically are games that
In 2 miles, take the exit onto State Route 305 South towards Pospo.
are important to me. Kind of
As collectors, in a way?
as
So really, your gaming now is like people who stream. You like
all of my games libraries are digital, and if I own it as a physical copy, it's because that specific piece of software is important to me in some way. Whether it's like a thing that I grew up playing is really important, or I really love the creators and I have it signed, or I have like even my old. I think this is where games are different than music, where you can have you can fall down the rabbit hole of being a psychotic audiophile, and does listening to records just better sound quality versus this versus that, the incorrect speakers, then why do we care about this? What are we doing here?
Go past this exit, then use the right lane to take the exit onto State Route 305 South towards Pospo.
We're stalling here. Oh, is this the one? Shit.
Use the right lane to take the exit onto State Route 305 South towards Pospo.
I don't know if the recording is picking this up, but the directions are Siri is telling us. You may not be hearing it in this recording, but that's why.
In 3/4 of a mile, turn left onto Bond Road Northeast.
Bond Road. You can make an argument about quality of audio, and that's totally fine. But you can listen to a song on a toaster. You can listen to a song on anything.
The toaster.
Yeah, I say that as like you can. Every device can play an MP3 or play music for you, but games are really weird because they are so complicated that it is, yes, your phone can play any really old games, but they don't function properly, or they're not backwards compatible, or they're hard to.
At the next lights, turn left.
And so that is where the value comes, where I will, modify old devices so the devices themselves are playing the software, but
At the lights, turn left onto Bond Road Northeast.
they're still on a hard drive on those devices because I've modified them, right? So that's the reason why I have a lot of my older devices, but not necessarily massive physical game libraries, is because it's like, cool, I have this old Nintendo device, but it has a card in it that has every game ever made for it. If I were to collect for one of the consoles,
Okay.
it would be for the Sega Saturn. It was a huge failure in the States, but because they had heavy Japanese development, but they didn't. In the States, they didn't think that the U.S. market would be able to appreciate or even understand anything that was coming out of Japan, so they just didn't release them here.
Okay.
So it's a really fun one because you get all of these games that never made it over, and are really, really interesting, creative, and weird. And they didn't trust the U.S. market to indulge in the weirder software, and so I think that'd be really cool to collect.
I want to do a little lightning round.
Sure,
I want to go back to music because it's the music stupid.
that makes sense.
And I want to name some artists. I want you to just, the first thing that comes in your mind about the artist musically, or your early memories of the artist, listening to them, like them or not, either
Okay.
way, and what you think. Okay, I'm starting out with the one who wrote every other song. Who wrote every other song?
Okay, Bob Dylan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I used to always say, who wrote that song? And 9 times out of 10 it was Bob Dylan.
Right.
What's your take on Dylan?
What's my take on Dylan?
Do you remember listening to the Dylan Radio Hour? episodes?
Game Time Radio Hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fantastic. He was a caricature of himself on that, and that's great. I love that. We were actually just talking, Elise and her family, about how apparently people are going to like some modern Dylan concerts and hating it because he's phoning it in or something. I don't know.
It's another story, yeah. So what's your take on Dylan?
My take on Dylan is that he's a legend and he's everywhere, and it doesn't matter if he's phoning it in now. Like, how do you have that big of an impact?
Do you ever listen to his music? Or do you like his music?
Yeah, of course I love his music. I don't know that I actively seek it out. It's just kind of he's so pro. It's like the Beatles. Like I don't have to listen to the Beatles. It will just show up at some point. The Beatles will just happen around me, and I'm like, oh, cool, yeah. Oh, paperback writer. I love. Okay, cool.
Now, do you feel that I abused you when you were young with all the Beatle music and Beatle trivia and everything Beatle-y?
Are you asking me if I
every
did?
time you make me a card or write something, you
Yeah.
kind of do a little bit of a mocking of me and the Beatles.
I mean,
Which is great. I appreciate it.
When people ask me about my dad, the first thing I tell them is that
He likes
that he wrote a Beatles tour guide, and I feel like that says it all.
I don't even have a Wikipedia. Would you create a Wikipedia page for me?
Would I?
Yeah.
Do you want that? Because that'd be great. I don't.
I'm just kidding.
No, it was great. Oh, okay. Actually, sorry. If you rewind, you're asking me new artists. I have listened to new artists. I realize Jessie Reyes. Are you familiar with Jessie Reyes?
No, I don't think.
Oh, she's fantastic.
What type of music?
So R&B, salsa. She is one of those writers who did songwriting for dozens of other artists for years.
Maybe I know some. Yeah,
and then she has more in the past, I think 3 or 4 years, started singing them herself.
Got it.
And she has such a fantastic, unique, spicy voice. She sounds like a cat if it could sing. I love it. She's fantastic.
All right.
Jessie Reyes, and I really love Summer Walker is really great. She's an R&B singer. There was an album that came out. I can't remember if it was early this year or late last year by what's his name? Aesop Rock.
I've heard of him, but I don't know.
Called IT, like Technical Solutions. Oh my gosh,
Okay.
it's a good one. He's one of those hip hop artists that has really dense lyrics, where you listen to a song 20 times and you get something new out of it every time, which is obviously great for kind of successive re-listens.
Okay. Let me continue going with the quick bands now. Okay.
Right.
Your take on the Talking Heads. You brought them up, so.
Okay, first thing that comes to mind is Kermit the Frog in the giant suit.
Did he do that?
Yes.
So he did a parody of the Talking Heads.
You may find yourself in a shotgun shack.
I've never seen that.
You've never seen that one?
I can totally imagine.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it's perfect. If you haven't seen it, you gotta see it.
All right. Well, okay. Well, that's okay. Another one. Tom Waits.
Mystery Men.
Oh, as an actor, you're talking about the actor.
Yeah.
But I remember. Do you remember this? I've told this. I shared this story.
He's also one at 180 though. He's great.
Yeah, but I remember all of a sudden in the back seat once when you must have been 8 or 9 years old, you started saying, "The piano's been drinking." Like it's like a young kid.
The piano's been drinking. I think he did a Fresh Air interview once with what's her name?
Gross.
Terry Gross.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because she asked him, "Do you do any vocal warm-ups ever? Like, what are your vocal warm-ups like?"
Oh, yeah,
and he says, "Oh yeah. Sometimes I'll do so." And he just starts. Like if you were to say, "Hey Joe, improv what Tom Waits' vocal exercises sound like," it would sound exactly like that.
Hey Joe, improv what Tom Waits' vocal exercises are like. Can you do that while you're brushing your teeth at the same time?
I think
Or
I can do it better.
flossing.
I think I usually do it while I'm brushing my teeth.
Okay. All right. Okay. REM.
This is the place where you were. We stand in the place where you were and face north.
Okay. You probably don't remember. One of the first things I remember when you were really young, like carrying you around the room and blasting "Losing My Religion." You know that song?
I do know that song.
That's me in the spotlight.
That's me in the corner. That's me in the spotlight. Losing my religion.
You remember better than I do.
My
But I remember that. It was
my
so
infant
great.
ears.
Totally.
Yeah.
You got brainwashed.
At the next lights, turn left.
The Eels.
Yes.
We did go see the Eels together.
Yes. which is hilarious because going back, there's a period where the Eels were commissioned to make like every other
Shrek movie.
Well, okay, he did Shrek. He did the intro to Hey Arnold.
Oh, I didn't
That's
know
him.
that. Okay.
I didn't know that either for the longest time. He did like between 99 and like 2010, there was a stint where he was just all over cartoon media.
Yeah,
and
totally.
it's a really,
and
really
Mark
good pick.
Mothersbaugh
And Mark Mothersbaugh
From
with Rugrats
and Wild Thornberries, maybe. And
I believe it. So that's he
the
must
whole
they must
Grupo Sportivo or
Klatsky Chupo.
yeah.
Klatsky. They're a Russian studio.
And I remember going
get
to
that
LA and you see that.
In about 7.5 miles, turn left onto Buck Lake Road Northeast.
I hope the audience can hear Siri talking with that wonderful British accent.
I hope not, so they just hear us pausing at random.
What are we
and sounding
doing?
crazy.
Right? What the fuck is going on,
What are they
Maslow?
doing?
Maslow's to the second power. Or is
Yeah.
it Maslow and Maslow? What is it?
Well, I think it's to the second power because I think that we generate more energy together than we do independently.
Exactly. Neil Young.
I don't listen to him actively, but I love him.
Okay.
When I hear him, he's great. His voice is a lot of fun. Yeah.
Okay. Do you like jazz?
Yes, I do.
Okay. What are you going to do with all my records someday if you get them? I'm going to give you a few names to deal with to get rid of them or sell them and keep what you want or get rid of what you want. I got a few people in mind that'll help. Not that that's going to happen anytime soon, hopefully.
Thank you. Yeah, your YouTube channel is
And that could be a burden
so.
to some people, like you're dealing with 6,000-7,000 records.
Sure.
Oasis.
There's like I can't remember which album. There's one album that I listened to for a while.
Well, you remember a lot of that stuff. I remember you guys getting into because a Guitar Hero or one of those.
That makes perfect sense.
Because
Okay. Yeah.
well, partly Radiohead with not pre a Kid A with what's the big song that was on
Creep. Yeah.
And then wasn't there Oasis? Was it Wonderwall or one of those?
I'm sure it was Wonderwall. It's so there's like that's so interesting because Rock Band and Guitar Hero both have these soundtracks that it's like music has been organized historically into decades, right? You've got 80s tracks, you've got 70s tracks, you've got 90s tracks, but in a post-internet era, there is no longer decade organization because everyone has access to everything, so no one is like when you look at Spotify playlists and you say cool, play me 90s, play me aughts, play me whatever, those exist, and the moment you hit like 2010 there isn't really 2010 music because everyone is on the internet and everyone gets access to all music at the same time, and no music is weighted more than
I've never thought of that.
So for example, I teach students who are between the age I teach art and my students are between the age of most of them between 9 and 14. And
so if you have a kid or a grandkid who wants art lessons online, reach out to me. I'll hook you up.
And one of them, in one of our recent lessons, I discovered, they mentioned it just offhand. They started talking about Paul McCartney. And I said, oh, okay, are you familiar? And they said, oh, yeah, no, I'm a big Beatles fan. And I said, oh, okay. Like,
how old are they?
They're 13. And I said, okay, are you, did you discover them online, just out of curiosity? And they said, my parents are fans, and they started to go down this laundry list of their favorite music, and it was just a complete shotgun blast of 60s, 80s, aughts, new music. And I said, oh, just out of curiosity, do you have any, concept of when any of these bands, when any of this music was released? And they said, I know that the Beatles are probably the 70s, which is obviously not true, but
that's their...
and no, they had no idea when any of it came out. It's just music. And so now, when I talk about, I don't have an outlet specifically, and maybe it's because I'm not a music maven like you are, but I don't have a where I find out the newest music that's coming out, the newest things that are coming out from all my favorite bands. It's just someone recommends me a thing, or I come across a thing. And for example, a lot of like city pop, right?
You probably like city pop.
Yeah, but city pop as a genre is like not a new thing. It's an old thing that has had a resurgence, right?
And how did is it because of Japanese anime you got into all this stuff?
No, it's YouTube, like YouTube.
But you're a fan. You've been to Japan.
Yes.
Manga, whatever.
Manga.
At an early age, we'd go to Japantown, to the bookstore there, and pick up some of that.
Oh yeah.
Those comics and books. And
yeah.
Graphic novels and things.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a portion of it, but I think even more than me specifically being interested in like animation and kind of Japan being a little bit of a 80s, 90s animation mecca, there's...
In 1 mile, turn left onto Buck Lake Road Northeast.
I think more so culturally, because Japanese animation, a lot of Eastern animation has such a huge impact on my generation, and now that generation has been making a bunch of media influenced by Japanese media. You now have a lot of Western media that is influenced by Japanese media. So even if you don't know anything about kind of 80s, 90s, aughts anime, and you just watch modern animation from anywhere is like anime, because it had such a big impact on this generation. So I think that's what I mean when I say a lot of these genres are no longer tied to times, because it's just globalized and it's just a huge blend of stuff. And the internet doesn't care when anything came out. It just says, hey, I think people
turn left onto Buck Lake Road Northeast
are way more likely to like this.
One last artist, I think, and I remembered something that you and I would listen to all the time. Dean Martin.
Dean Martin?
You don't remember Dean Martin?
No, it's not that I don't remember Dean Martin. Dean Martin is too big a figure to forget. I guess I'm surprised that of all the artists, Dean Martin's the one that you pulled.
Well, no, we pulled a lot, but I just thought that Dean Martin is a closing. And I don't mean Dean Martin from the Rodney Dangerfield movie. Remember Back at School?
Back to
college. What is it called?
Back to school.
Back to school. And the dean is named Dean Martin. You get the look. You get the look from Rodney Dangerfield. That Dean Martin. Any memories of Dean Martin?
Any memories of Dean Martin? I think it took me years to distinguish Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra.
Really? Do you have a preference?
I have a preference. Probably Dean Martin, because his voice is deeper and richer.
Ooh, I kind of like. I get that.
I think Sinatra is obviously,
more iconic, maybe.
More iconic, but I like Dean Martin a little bit more.
Yeah. He's smoother, maybe.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I agree.
Well, thanks for chatting on the road here. We're almost there, so.
Oh, good. I gotta pee so bad.
Okay. Take care.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Mazzy loves you.
Goodbye.
And Mazzy Jr.
Bye, man.